You may be wondering, as for if you've been in the field for a while, why we're even doing a webinar about this website, because it's something that's been in existence for almost, I think we're on our 12th year now of managing this site. But there's been a lot of new additions to the site that you may or may not be aware of. And we also thought it might be helpful to help see how programs are helping inform your staff and volunteers about the resources that are on here. So we really want to hear your questions. And we also really would appreciate if you could share what parts of the site are helpful for you, what ways you're using this with your learners, and how that works. And so my name's Destiny Simpson. I work for TIU 11, and I'm the project manager for the Communications Project, which is the project funded by the Department of Education to create the PAAER website. And I'll let Matt introduce himself as well too then.
Yeah, I'm Matt Manfred. I've been in and out of different adult ed things for the last decade or so or more, and I'm an instructional designer right now with the technology project.
Okay, so our agenda for today is, if Matt, if you want to go to the next slide, is to really review, give you an overview of the PAAER website. We'll give you a tour, and by tour, we'll talk and highlight some of the new parts of the site that are available to help support your teachers and tutors and student support coordinators and eData staff in doing their job to their and having resources that they need to support that. We want to talk about what parts of the site are useful for you and what parts and how you can help support your staff using the PAAER website. We're using Jane Vella. She's somebody that's kind of in the adult ed circles, and she wrote a book that talks about using the 4 A's as a way to present information. So we're doing anchor, add, apply, and away. And so that's how we structured our presentation for today. So we're going to start off with our anchor, which is our opening question. So what are some reasons you or a person from your program might go to the PAAER website? And we'll ask you to type that into the chat. So we'll give everyone a minute to type in the chat to just talk about what makes you go to the PAAER website. What are some reasons that have you do that? So I see a lot of PD, so that's great to hear. eData, good. There's a great section on eData and is one of our most popular sections. Staff training, yep. eData, the forms, good. Administrator resources. Oh, good. I see lesson plans there. Great. So Kelly, we may be asking you to talk a little bit more about that. Same with Lori. It's great to hear that you're using the illustrative math and tutor routines. Good. So some of the stuff that was listed are things that we'll briefly touch on, but it seems like there's some stuff that we are not gonna that hasn't been talked about yet. So Matt, if you don't mind going to the next slide, one of the things that we're really excited about is that the site has really grown by total number of visitors. When this site was first established, it was back in 2012. It was on a platform called Weebly. I'm not sure if you've familiar with it, but it was a pretty easy to use website developer program, and we were getting about 10,000 visits a year. Since then, over a little bit over a decade since then, we're now up to over 40,000 total visits a year. So it has really grown exponentially, and that's something we're really excited about. When on the next slide, one of the things you'll see is really how what the numbers look like this past program year. So there were over 91,000 total page views and an average of 1,900 viewers to the PAAER site each month. One of the things that's been really interesting to us, and we're trying to dig a little bit deeper in it, is that about half of the visits from US visitors are from Pennsylvania, but the other half are from other states that are coming to our site to access resources. And so that's always kind of interesting to see what other people are accessing as well as what people in our own state are accessing. But with all these numbers, so while Matt and I are super happy and encouraged about the growth of the visits to the site, one of the things that Matt and Tessa Gross, who also works on this project, recently did was a session at PACE. And one of the things that they found was that of the 12 people that came to that session, you can see a large majority of people were either not very familiar or only somewhat familiar with the PAAER website. So there's still a need, and if we go to the next site, or the next slide, sorry, Matt. One of the things that we see is how often do people visit the PAAER website? And so you can see quite a few people are saying rarely. And one of the things we wanted to make sure is that that you as administrators are aware of some of the new features and resources that are on the PAAER website, so that you in turn can help your volunteers and staff also be able to access the website as well too. So, if we go to the next slide there, one of the things that you may be wondering is why do we even have two websites? Because most likely, if you're an administrator, there's two websites you typically go to for adult ed resources. The first being the PDE website. So, Matt, if you don't mind going to the next slide, the PDE website just, I think, fairly recently got a whole redesign. So it might not look exactly like the screenshot on the left anymore, but that's where you go. But there's also the PAAER website. And you may be wondering, like, why isn't everything all just on one place? And so way back in 2012, one of the things the Division of Adult Education um, decided was that, the Department of Education website, the PAIR website has literally like hundreds of pages to it. It has thousands of resources on it. And the Department of Education, as well as I'm sure other government entities, really didn't want like all of that stuff being on their website. But the Division of Adult Education recognized the value of having a website that had lesson plans, tutoring routines, eData forms, things like that. And so that's why they asked us to create this other website, the PAIR website. So on the next slide, what you can see is some information of like why you typically would go to the PDE website. That's for all the policies, guidelines, your official data gets put on there. And then on the PAIR website, this is where you really find a lot of the resources that the professional development system projects, so the distance digital literacy and distance education project, the workforce development system liaison project, the IT project, professional learning opportunities, eData MIS, and the technology project and communications project. That's where we put all of our resources that are developed for you all to access and to use. And so that's kind of why we have two websites, in case you've ever wondered that, or someone asks, well, how do I know which website to go to? And what I'm going to do is turn it over now to Matt to talk a little bit about why we ended up doing some rebranding.
Thank you. Yeah, we did. Maybe you recognize the gears, our old gear logo on the left. That was the logo for a long time, and that was kind of our brand for a long time. And so we came across some issues that pushed us towards a kind of an overhaul of the brand. One of them was accessibility. So we want our website as an official education website. We want it to be accessible to anybody with screen readers and anything like that. So we found that we were making more and more edits to things along those lines. And so just kind of that and some other reasons kind of pushed us to kind of think, well, hey, what else can we change? So we did a kind of a top to bottom overhaul, which we're still kind of working on in some corners of the website. And so you see the new logo. We're still PA Adult Ed Resources, but we rolled out the acronym PAIR, and then that sort of led us to the PAIR logo, which we're trying to put everywhere. So the goals were increased accessibility, update of the branding. Always, we wanted to make sure it was user friendly. The navigation, which we're going to look at, was one thing that we overhauled, and I think it's very organized and people can find everything. So just to make it more user friendly, more accessible accessible kind of capital A, but then accessible to any user just so you can find what you need. Um, Recognizable logo, hopefully, I don't know if you've doodled the PAAER logo on your papers at work, or maybe that's just me, but something that can be a little bit memorable, so people can think of us as a place, think of this website as a place to go and get useful useful resources to help you with students. Um, so it was the PAAER acronym. It's still the same title, PA Adult Ed Resources. And so we took, you can get there through, if you type in, or if you have a document with the old link, paaadultedresources.org, that still gets you there. PAAER.com gets you there. PAAER.org gets you there. So, it's the same website, same information, but we're trying to add and improve as we go. Destiny, you want to talk about goals for today?
Yeah, so one of the things that we wanted to check in is in terms of goals for this session is, are there any specific questions you have about the site so that we can be sure to address them throughout the presentation? So we'll give you a minute to type in any questions or specific goals you might have about the PAIR website. And as we do that, Matt, I'm going to take over sharing so we can do the website tour. So if you give me 1 second there.
Sure.
So in the chat, I just added a link to the PAIR website. So you're welcome to follow along with us if you want to. We'll also be showing some of this that we're doing on screen as well too. So the website, like Matt said, you can go to PAAER.org. You can still go to PAADultEducationResources.org. It will take you to our new homepage. And one of the things we wanted to highlight was the Find a Class page. We're starting off here because if you were a program administrator, you should have gotten an email from Amanda asking you to update your information for this Find a Class page. And so I'm going to put a link to that where you can update your information in the chat in case you haven't done this yet. Amanda asked that you update this information by Friday. If for some reason that's not possible, if you could just reach out and let us know. And we've seen quite a few of you have already done this. But this map is one of the most visited pages on our website. It had over 2,600 unique viewers that are coming to find it. So it's a great way to help promote your program and let people know where classes and services are available. It's the second most visited page behind the homepage. So that's one of the reasons why we want to make sure your information is up to date. We also want to make sure that this information is easy for people to access. And so the way people find a class is by going to, and let me just go to the browser here, is you'll find we put it right on the top. A lot of times what happens because our website is visited, the search engines develop algorithms and things that I'm not exactly sure about. But one of the things that happens is a lot of times potential learners who are looking for service might type in something like GED, or they might type in ESL, Pennsylvania, or the town they're in, and our site might be the first one on their list. And so we put this Find a Class at the top of the page to help people. One of the changes we're going to be making to this page after we get all your information starting next week is we will certainly update this map. But in addition to that, we're going to list the programs in a slightly different way so it's more easily viewed by potential learners and other people that might be looking for services as well too, partners or things like that. And so this list won't be quite as hidden as what it is now. And so people will also be able to find your program information that way. And so we appreciate you helping us keep this information up to date. And we'll be doing this yearly. And so thanks for your help to do that. So going back to the PowerPoint here now, the next section we wanted to talk about was the administrators tab. And I saw in the chat quite a few of you are, mentioned that's one of the main reasons why you go to the site. And that makes sense. There's a lot of resources here for you to access. And so under the administration section, there's 4 different pages: resources, webinars and meetings, WIOA, research and reports. So under resources, this is where there's a lot of different program administration resources here. I'm sure you've probably come to this section here to look at your draft agency performance information. And this page may end up looking a little bit different design-wise, but the content will remain the same. The webinars and meetings page is where you can access the slides. So that's a great resource to share. For example, we share it with our fiscal staff that help us do our budgets and things like that that don't come to the meetings. If there's any eData updates, we can share the slides with people that way. And also the recordings. And Matt, I think Amanda had sent out an email about this, but one thing I just want to highlight again is that one of the things that we're doing here is you now have timestamps to help you get to information. So for example, if there's information you want to share with your coordinators or some of your other instructional leads about monitoring, you can send them to this timestamp. So it helps people find the information a little bit more easily. And now I'm going to turn it over to Matt to talk about the teachers and tutors page. Matt, would you want to share your screen or do you want me to keep on sharing my screen? Either one's fine. So.
I will. Just give me a second to kind of get something. Okay. Yeah, I think I can do that. All right, now I lost it.
And this is a section that Matt has been working on very diligently and over the past probably year and a half or two to really build in some really features that we hope will help your teachers and tutors to be able to access resources so that they don't have to invent the wheel with lessons and instructional materials.
Destiny, I don't know that I'm going to be able to bounce between the website and the PowerPoint as well as you did.
Let me go back to sharing here then. So,
yeah, yeah, maybe if you just stick with
okay,
it.
let me go back to this top slide here just a second. There we go. Thanks everyone for your patience.
All right, thank you. So you see the new navigation is one thing that we reorganized when we rebranded the website. The teaching tab, as maybe you saw, is one thing that houses a lot of information. A lot of it was on that old version of the website, but a lot of it is new. So what you're seeing there is the list of the pages within that teaching tab of the PAAER website. So there's groups, there's lesson planning, there's things that go to standards, things about digital education, the content areas, and there's individual pages for each content area, as well as the high school equivalency tests, assessments, tutoring. So there's large, I think of them as libraries of resources that are kind of hidden within several of those. So Destiny, if you'd head to the website and look at that teaching tab. Under lesson planning, let's look at the lesson bank. So the lesson bank is something we've had this for a long time, but in case you're not familiar, let me just touch on it briefly. This is a bank of lessons. They used to be, I think it was part of a course that was the end project was to submit a lesson to this lesson bank, and now it's grown to just more than that and a lot of things. What I love about it is it's searchable. So this is, you can see there are 108 lessons at the moment, and it's searchable, and you can type in a subject and things. This is, as I explained to Destiny when we were talking about it years ago, it's like when you go to an online store and you want to buy a shirt, you can search for a blue shirt. You can see that blue shirt is a size medium, and then you can sort by price. This is that same search and filter ability. So you can, if you have something very specific in mind, you can see you can see how close to it you can get through the resources we have. A lot of, and what you're going to see on the left-hand side of the screen is math level A, geometry and measurement. Those math, we're going to touch on that in just a second. Those are included in this lesson bank. So you can use the gray box, the searching, to get closer and closer if you have something specific that you want to teach, that you have to teach today or next week, and uh, and see if there's something close to it. Okay, everything that is there that we've kind of categorized these lessons as shows up in those lists. Okay. Um, let's look at the math curriculum next, if you would, Destiny. So the math curriculum is based on a curriculum called Illustrative Math. We've sort of boiled it down and tweaked it a little bit and made it our own in some ways. It's the front door to it, I think, is the CCRS levels. There's level A, B, C, and D, and of course that gets more and more advanced as you go. Level A doesn't have a ton of resources, but what's there, this is lower level math, but the students that need it really do need it, and a lot of times those students they don't want to work with K through 12 materials at that level. So this is adult ed materials at that CCRS level A. And so you can click on, there's key lessons, and then uh, each key lesson, it's all a la carte. So you can teach just what you feel is needed by that student or that class. There's key lessons, and each key lesson has related lessons. You can see down at the bottom. Some are lessons you can teach leading up to that key lesson or after that key lesson, preparation or review and extend. The math curriculum we have on there is very flexible. You can dive in at any point. You can jump in, jump out, and just do what you need, do what your students need for you. I've always been very excited about the math lessons. What else is in the PowerPoint?
The tutoring routines.
Yeah, the tutoring routines. Okay. Tutoring routines, same thing. These are lessons we're developing. It's under the tutors page. This is something a little bit on the newer side for us, and we're developing this library as well. They're grouped into reading and writing, listening and speaking and listening, and math at the moment. I think there's about maybe 20 total. And these are lessons that a tutor can, a volunteer tutor or any instructor can jump in if we don't have everything in the universe covered, but if this is something that you want to teach, these are high quality lessons. You can see the columns for PDFs for the things that the instructor needs and the materials for the student. And if it's something that can be filled out in Word, it's both PDF and Word, right? So it's pretty flexible. Again, it's not every topic under the sun, but if you look through it and it's something you wanna teach that you need today, it's there for you, and it's organized. Let's look at
And
the curriculum search. Okay, this is another search. Thank you. Similar to the lesson bank, but these aren't lessons that you're going to teach with students. These are full, it kind of varies, but big or small, full curricula that you can teach, right? Common textbooks, common online materials. I'm sure a lot of things you've seen before. Searchable, fewer search variables for this search. But if you need a new math curriculum or what have you, you can find there's 140 different resources here that we have vetted and looked at. So Destiny, go ahead. You can search, and there's the curriculum there if you have something at a particular NRS level or a subject. But when you find something you like, here you see you can click on the summary, and this is a summary of what it has. We tell you if it's free or paid. That's one of the variables we have in this search, and it gives you a summary of what that resource offers. Again, is it it big or small? What's the scope of it? What are the topics that are covered? How? Um, so that summary, we've put a lot of work into that summary of 140 different resources that you can look up if you are looking for a new resource in a particular subject matter area. So a lot of different, you see it under the teaching tab, a lot of different resources that you can use pretty much off the shelf sometimes to teach students if there's something that you're struggling to find resources to address. And again, a lot of times you can find K through 12 resources, but that's not always what adult students want to see in front of them. So this is adult education materials. Anything else under the teaching tab, Destiny?
That covers the highlights of what we were going to do, but I'm going to go back
Yeah.
to our slideshow so you can talk a little bit about what's coming soon.
Yes. Okay. Another thing. Thank you. Another thing we're working on is ELA lines of inquiry. These are by topics sort of narrow lessons, but each line of inquiry, English language arts line of inquiry. This is focused on English language arts. We have a natural resources line of inquiry, economics, and extended response. So the GED extended response essay. And each of them have, I think, 4 different lessons involved. Again, these can be a little bit a la carte as you need, jump in, jump out. But they're pretty. If you want them to be, they can be pretty extensive. Um, and within natural resources, you could look at it, and when we roll it out, um, and it covers a lot of ground, but it's focused on the topic of natural resources. Same thing with economics and the extended response essay. It's not going to be 3 weeks with students talking about very specific topics, but it's broad, but it's on the topic of economics or what have you. We're going to get these out in the coming months over this winter, and then the plan is that we can develop more ELA lines of inquiry. They're very valuable, very flexible for students, for instructors working with students, and we're pretty excited to have these roll out. These are very well organized lessons with a lesson plan, a slideshow, student materials, readings and manipulatives and worksheets and things. These are well developed resources that we're going to get out to you soon, and then continue to grow that library for you.
Great. Thanks, Matt. So as we covered these teaching resources for you, because for example, when I first started in the field, my background was not in adult education by any means. And so we also know that quite a few teachers might be part-time or have and so these resources help teachers use high quality, standards aligned lessons and materials with your learners. And it helps you from having to recreate the wheel. So rather having each teacher that's, for example, teaching English language arts to HSC class, having them each develop their own lines of inquiry to help them help their learners build knowledge and build their reading and writing skills. This helps you use resources and find resources a lot easier. We work with all our professional development system project partners to add the resources that they identify. So the distance learning curriculum, for example, was identified and vetted by the Digital Literacy and Distance Education Project, the DLDE team. The eData team, we work very closely with them to put the eData forms and create them and put the eData help manuals on. The professional learning opportunities help to develop these ELA lines of inquiry, the math curriculum, and the tutoring routines that we talked about. And the Workforce Development System Liaison worked very closely with developing lots of resources or identifying resources that your student support coordinators could use. So we'll take a quick peek at the eData section. This is something that you all, it seems like based on your earlier responses, are pretty familiar with. But under here are the eData forms. Just keep in mind that the fillable forms are recommended because being able to type in the information helps reduce any data entry errors that might be caused by handwriting or things like that. Um, in addition, we want to let you know that the Best Plus fillable form was just updated this past week. So thank you to the program that identified the issue, and we have that fixed, so that is now updated. In addition, as TABE 13 and 14 gets rolled out, we'll be updating the TABE form, assessment form as well too. So look for that in the new year. Under eData, there's also the manual and glossary. So this is where your eData specialist and those that are doing eData can get information about how to make sure they're entering their data correctly. And also the Access Database template, which is most likely a tool that you as an administrator might use, or you have your data quality specialist use it in order to run reports and see how your program is doing. So the most current file is always available here. As the year goes on and there's updates to it, you'll find that the list gets kind of longer. But the way that you can tell and make sure either you or your eData specialist is using the most version is to look for this V at the end. And Matt always includes the date that it was updated. So that'll help you make sure you're using the most current version of the eData Access database template. The Workforce and Career Pathways section really has a ton of great resources for you as an administrator to help inform the work that you're doing, either to develop IETs or alternative pathways to help your learners transition to workforce or post-secondary ed. It also has resources for your student support coordinators to help them look at how they can support learners overcoming barriers and also help support their transition to post-secondary ed or the workforce. And in addition to that, there's also the PA Foundation Skills, which is available not only under the Workforce Career Pathway section, but also the teaching section. It's under both places because this is a resource your teachers can be using to help make sure that as they're developing lessons, that they are making sure that the lessons include these components, digital literacy skills, academic skills, and transferable skills, the skills that learners need to be successful, not only in our adult ed programs, but as they go in to the workforce or post-secondary ed. And so this also includes checklists that your teachers can use with learners. There's the list here that they can use, but they can also download a checklist. So you could check off and help learners show their progress of skills that they're developing. So it can help add to a learner's portfolio and something that they could show employers or potential employers for skills that they're developing. It also can be a great tool for teachers as they're helping to develop lesson plans and to see what skills should I be focusing on and what do those skills look like. So this is a great resource for teachers, student support coordinators, tutors to help see what are the skills that our adult learners need. And finally, the professional development system. This is a place where you can get answers to frequently asked PD portal questions. A lot of times we get people asking, how do I download my certificate? Or how do I access a report? And so a lot of these also have a video that show how to download the video, but you're always welcome to email pdportal@tiu11.org and we'll get back to you as soon as we can to help you with whatever PD portal or professional development issues or questions you might have. In addition to that, there's a course schedule here. And at the kickoff, we had paper copies of this, but we didn't, I forgot to mention that it's also available online. This is the list of the professional learning opportunities that are available. So this can be a tool that your in-house PDS specialists can use to help your staff and your volunteers identify what professional development do they need and what professional development is available for them. We're going to be working to update this. There's some new courses on UDL, goal setting for English language learners, and a couple of other courses that are in the works that will be coming out. So this is something that's continually updated. And so we'll be sure that the consultants that work for the professional learning opportunities let your in-house PDS people know whenever this is updated. In addition to that, there's a page for equity, inclusion, and belonging. There's some resources here that might be support your work at your program doing that. We're also working with Prolo to update this page, and so you'll have even more resources that are available to you. The other things we just wanted to point out is under PDS projects. This has a list of key contacts for each of the professional development projects. So for example, if you're thinking about trying to work with your PA Career Link a little bit more closely and you need support for how to do that, this has the contacts for the workforce development project. If your in-house PDS person is brand new and they need help with a certain area, this is where they can get their contact information for their consultant and who can help support them with that work. And so, in addition to this, there's one last thing we just wanted to highlight, and I almost want to take a poll. There's no shame if you didn't realize this, but our website, if you scroll down, there's some other sections to it. So you can see what's new on PAAER. So we try to keep this updated so you know what's new there. In addition to that, there's a couple of other resources that you may not have realized that are available. A lot of these pages here are accessible from our top navigation, but there's two that I wanted to point out. One is job postings. So if you have a job posting that you want to help advertise, we can post it not only on the website here on the PAAER website, but also in the monthly newsletter that Matt writes. So that's the PA Adult Education Resources newsletter. And that also is available here. So you can access past editions as well as sign up to get the new newsletter. And so there's a lot of resources that we very quickly introduced to you. At this point, the last thing I just want to highlight is we made a quick link to the PD portal. This is our learning management system that you and your volunteer tutors, as well as your staff, would use to access materials. The one thing I want to highlight, because this seems to be a question that we get a lot from the PD portal tech support emails, is people are like, I can't find the course that I need to register for. So the best way to do that is this click here to open the professional learning opportunities catalog. This has the full listing of all the courses. And that a lot of times volunteer tutors sometimes have trouble figuring out how do I find the course I'm looking for, as well as new staff. It's not super intuitive, and it's unfortunately just the way that this company sets up their catalog that we can't get it to all display at once, and you have to click here to be able to see everything. So that's just a quick tip we wanted to point out as we're working on this. So I'm going to turn this, go back to our PowerPoint here. And if you give me 1 second. So Matt, do you want to talk a little bit about how people can sign up for the newsletter?
Sure. I mean, you can aim your phone right now as we speak at the QR code in the PowerPoint we're sharing here, and that'll take you to the page to sign up. Then I get an email and I sign you right up. I'll offer a brand new offer just today. We're working on the November newsletter right now, earlier this morning. And that's going to be going out really soon, but I'll look this afternoon for anybody who signs up this morning and make sure that you are signed up for the November newsletter, although I kind of probably imagine that all of you get it already. Or you can share you can look at that if you think there's people within your agency that need that. Go ahead and do that. Or, of course, just get them to PAAER.com and that, scroll down and there's a link there as well to sign up for the newsletter. That newsletter has, goes out to the state of Pennsylvania, a couple thousand people, and we keep it, as everything on the website, we try to make it as useful as possible, with job ads. Job ads tend to be, get a lot of clicks, but useful information for things that you can work with students, um, professional development information, other information from across the state and the nation regarding adult ed. We try to make the newsletter as useful as possible as we can every month. But if you need to sign up, or if you think somebody else that you know needs to sign up, you can use that link there or at the website on the homepage. It's easy enough to find.
Thanks, Matt. So going back to our 4 A's, we started with the anchor, like kind of grounding the topic in. So we asked you, how do you use it? We added more information. So we showed you a couple of the latest features that are on the PAAER resource. It's still something hard that I'm getting used to saying. But I guess our next question is applies. So out of the new things that you've seen, what parts of the site might be useful for your work? And so if you could just put that in the chat, and I'm gonna open up the chat window so I can see that. Good. So I see a lot of lesson plans, so that's great to hear, because that's one of the things we wanted to highlight. There've been really, like I said, Matt and the other professional development system projects have been working really hard to identify or develop resources that could help support your educators, and so it's great to hear that that's something that's of interest to you all. Good. Tutoring, eData, definitely always contact information for the professional development system. Great. Administrator section makes a lot of sense. Good. So the next question is kind of the away part. And this I would invite you to feel free to share in the chat, but we'd also love to hear you speak if you're willing to, is how do you currently share PAAER resources with your staff and volunteers, or how might you do that? And so I know some of you, when we went back to that very first question, you said like, oh, well, we use it for tutoring routines, or we use it for, the eData resources. So is anyone willing to kind of share how you might use the resources with to support your staff, or share how you currently share them with your staff? Okay, so thanks, Kathy. Kathy shared about sharing the tutoring resources with your tutor coordinator. That's great to hear.
This is Lori from Goodwill. Sorry, I think so our IHPDS goes in and she's gone over all of the tutoring routines with our teachers, because that's one of the things that they're working on in PLC this year. And they've gone in together as a group to look at them and try some of them out.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
Yeah, great.
So incorporated in your PLC work, that's great to hear. Kelly, I think you were going to say something. Kelly Davis? Yeah.
So she stole my thunder. So now, basically the same thing. Our IHPDS loves the PAAER website, and she uses it during the PLCs. We're working on, for the last several years, we've been working on building a lesson bank of our own for the agency. And she uses the lesson plan section a lot for the templates and examples, and it's awesome, but they use it a lot in PLCs.
Oh, I'd love to hear that. That's great. What else? Does anyone else want to share? In the comments, we see Josh mentioned about sharing it with part of the onboarding process, which is great to help people get signed up for that newsletter right away so they're not missing out on good information, as well as helping them get familiar. That's a great strategy. Share at PIT and staff meetings, PLC discussions. That's great. In-house PDS reviews it with staff and tutor coordinators use it. Good, great. So there's a ton of resources on here. What we found is that, the administrator site is very well visited by all of you. So thank you for doing that. But we also want to make sure all the great teaching information, student support coordinator resources, and eData resources are shared with your staff as well. So thank you so much. And does anyone have any questions or suggestions for the PAAER website? Thanks, Whitney, for sharing the Find a program with people that are looking for services. That's great. And Helen mentioned about the PD portal modules. Good. That's great to hear that you're using those and sharing it with the different roles. Digital skills lessons. So that's something we'll share with the DLDE project for sure. One of the things that we're also considering doing uh, is developing a page just for students. So this website is really geared for you, your staff at your program, and your volunteer tutors. But we also are considering developing a student kind of a page for students that might have success stories, the list of the classes, some information about the different types of classes and things like that. We'd love to hear if you think that might be helpful or of interest to support your work to recruit learners or to help serve current learners. So if you have ideas for that, we'd love to hear that. Daniel, can you tell us a little bit more about AI? Is it like AI resources for your staff or teachers to use? Feel free to unmute if that's easier.
Yeah, well, I was um, doing some research on it, and apparently there are several applications and sites that provide different resources administered for administration, but this site seems like there's a lot to go through, a lot of content, and what AI, from what my understanding, coming from a database background, is, an extremely efficient form of query processing and analyzing uh, massive amounts of data. So, you have your search tool for, say, the lesson plans or topics that you want to. But if you could, you know, drill deeper into the content of that through AI searching for specific information and, being uh, utilized by just a, a header of a topic that you want to talk about, it could then, pull up all the different lesson plans or
Right.
curriculum that deal with that instead of going through each one. And also, there's plenty of PDF documents that I've seen there on the website. You have to sit there and read through it. It would be wonderful if there was a way of summarizing it and something like that. So I was just wondering if that's something that's being considered down the line.
I don't want to speak for you, Matt, but it's actually something I haven't really thought much about, but I really like your ideas that you presented. So I'm thinking it's something we will we can look into further. And so yeah, thanks for that suggestion. If we add an AI feature, we'll let you know and also give you credit for coming up with the idea. So thanks for sharing that, Daniel.
Yeah.
Right now we have just not just, but we do have a search function. So, you know, if someone types in tutoring, and they hit search, you can see it comes up with resources, but it's not as powerful as kind of like what you're talking about, Daniel. So yeah, thanks for that suggestion. It's something that I haven't really thought about yet, but something we will kind of consider and explore moving forward. Um, any other questions or thoughts or ideas? Great. So the contact information for Matt and I is on, if you go under professional development, PDS projects, support for programs. And so, where are we? Sorry, alphabetical. So yeah, please feel free to reach out to Matt or I. We also have Stacy Van Art, who is our proofreader for the site, Tessa Gross, who helps us with design documentation, and then Julie DiStefano, who is our newest communications specialist that works part-time, that's helping us with site design and adding content. And so, you know, we really want to make sure that the site is useful for you and your program staff and volunteers. So please feel free to reach out to us at any time if you have any questions. So I'll turn it back over to the division now, but thanks so much for having us today. And we really appreciate hearing how you're using the site and how you're sharing it with your team.
Thank you so much, Destiny. Thank you to you both for this wonderful presentation, and I'm pretty sure you'll get a lot of questions after this, but we actually at the division, we actually had Destiny and Matt give us a tour, and so we are better familiar with the PAAER website. So thank you so much for your time today. And if there are no other questions or comments, we will go ahead and dismiss everyone for today. And everyone have a great afternoon and a great holiday season.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.